What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Unapologetic podcast, where we are unapologetically, unequivocally, and undeniably us. This is episode 112 coming to you live and most definitely in color. We got a nice episode today, and again, you're gonna see in the description of the podcast every time you do. We're gonna do a deep dive. What am I saying? Lock in real quick. AEW Redemption is this Sunday. We are going to do a preview, a prediction for the show. You already know how that kind of thing goes. We're going to maybe talk a little bit about F1, as this is the last race weekend before the summer break. I think it's like a couple weeks to a month. We've already seen this kind of thing happen, though, so it's no big deal. But summer break is incoming. WNBA All-Star Weekend is this weekend. It starts at the time of recording tonight with I think it's like a shooting stars competition and then the 3-point contest. So that All-Star game is on Saturday night, so we'll be talking a little bit about that as well. G1 update. The G1 is in full swing. I believe everybody has wrestled 3 matches, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to talk about the G1, kind of where people sit, and, some other things related to the G1. Excuse me. Also, we got some big NBA news that dropped today, time of recording. LeBron has finally made his decision, and Adam Silver can get off his nuts. So we're going to talk about LeBron's decision and kind of what that means for the rest of the Eastern Conference, because this will not be our off-season review, because there's still moves that will happen as a result of LeBron finally making his decision. So when we start to get a couple more moves, slow it down. There's a couple moves that haven't happened, a couple restricted free agents that are still out there, and then a couple guys like Draymond and other people I don't remember who are free agents that are still out there. So we'll kind of talk about that when the time comes. But before we do any of that, before we talk about any of these topics that I'm super excited to get into, you know how we got to start it off with a little bit of a self check-in. So now let me know how you doing. Yeah, man. So hope you guys are having a great day, week, month since the last time we've talked. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. We appreciate you joining us here on this wonderful journey. We don't have a name for you, the listeners, for all of us here. We don't have a name. We got to come up with a name. If you, the listener, are hearing this and you got a name for the podcast, not a name for the podcast, a name for us, you and I and all of us that are on this journey together, let me know. Instagram and Twitter at Nas Kaleem, NAASKALEEM. Hit me up over there. Let me know. As I always say as well, if you've got opinions on the podcast, topics of discussion you think that I can add to the podcast, you want to vent about your mental health, because again, we take mental health very, very seriously on this podcast. Anything of nature, anything to contribute, or just you just want to talk, hit me up on either of those platforms. If you go to the Instagram page and you go to the link in the bio, there's a link tree link. It'll take you to all the different ways you can support me and this podcast and I. And we appreciate all the love and support on every episode to this point. And I appreciate all the love and support going forward on everything related to this podcast and myself. So again, hope you guys are having a great day, week, month since the last time we have talked. It's been, been about 2 weeks or so since the last time we've talked, and it has been a eventful couple weeks, to say the least. What was that, July 9th? Wait, was that the last time we talked? Oh my goodness, that was the last time we talked. Yeah, guys, we got a lot to talk about, apparently. I think it said July 9th might have been the last time I recorded an episode, which kind of checks out because it was a Thursday, and that's, what was that, 15 days? I don't know. Whatever the case. Yeah, that does check out. It's been 15 days since the last time we talked, and I didn't realize that the last time we talked was, talking about the G1. We did a projection for how the G1 would go, and that was the Chicago trip that happened, or didn't happen. I guess it's time. Let's lock into my version of the self check-in. So we need a little transition there for me talking about my mental health and my journey the past couple weeks. Didn't make it to Chicago. Long story short, didn't make it to Chicago. Flight got canceled twice. Who just hit a home run in my game? I know that's not. Oh, it's Garrett Kingman. Shout out to Garrett Kingman. In the background, as I tend to do, I have MLB The Show going on, and I'm watching my. I got a franchise called USA versus the World, essentially, where I control the Washington Nationals and I only draft players from the U.S. I know that was a random tangent and a random segue, or I'm just throwing words in there. That was something random. If you don't know, I jump around all the time, and that's how my brain works, and that's how the podcast goes because we were unapologetic. Anyway, flight got canceled twice. We didn't get a reason either time, so we kind of pivoted. We just went away to New Jersey for the weekend. We both got our money back, or she got her money back, because I hadn't paid for the stuff yet. So she got her money back, and we're going to put it towards going to Chicago hopefully later in the year, because we still got a bunch of stuff that we want to do, that we want to go experience, and, it's just a bump in the road. It doesn't stop the journey that we are on, and yeah. It definitely sucked in the moment because I didn't get to go see my wrestling show. I didn't get to go see the G1 live because it's not super often that the G1 or New Japan Pro Wrestling comes to America at this point, at this juncture. It's not very often that they come to New York either, and they obviously didn't. They went to New Jersey last time, so that was cool. So we'll see what happens. They still haven't been back to MSG like they said they would a couple years ago, pre-pandemic. So still waiting on that one. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, didn't make it to Chicago, so that was that subject. We went away to New Jersey. Yeah, just chilled. We binge watched a couple shows. I watched Love Island. I watched the final 2 episodes of Love Island with her. It was all right. I think my prediction won, and the only reason I projected the couple to win that did win. I forgot the name, so don't even ask me. Is because she told me that they were dating. If you watch Love Island, and I gotta describe Love Island to you. But the people that won Love Island, I was told that they had made their relationship official on the show, and to me, that because America apparently votes for everything, it made sense that they would win the show because you've seen their relationship blossom over the course of the show, and America loves a love story, right? America loves a love story. So they won. We watched Love Island. I missed House of the Dragons for that reason. I've actually missed House of the Dragons the past 2 weeks live. Probably going to miss it a third week because AEW Redemption is this weekend, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. Had some good breakfast. We went to a good breakfast place. We tried that. We got our favorite, or my favorite Chinese food in the world, Master Wok. We definitely got that. Did I buy things? I bought a new keychain as well. That was cool. What else happened? Been watching or finished watching Welcome to Derry. I think it's Derry, right? Welcome to Derry, the It show. Watched that with her, or I finished it with her, so I enjoyed that. I watched The Backrooms, which was pretty good. I expected it to be more scary from what I heard about it, so it really wasn't that scary. It was just really the fear of the unknown. Don't let Tasha tell you any differently. It was the fear of the fact that I did not know what was about to happen, which typically is the case, I think, for horror movies, right? If I'm not, which it wasn't even a horror. It really wasn't a horror movie. But I think it's being described as a horror movie. It really wasn't scary. It didn't have too many elements that were really creepy. So there's that. So that's the New Jersey trip. As far as things after that, I've been working a reset, and I think I alluded to this. Maybe I didn't. For my job, I had to do an overnight for 2 weeks, which is part of the reason there hasn't been a podcast episode since then. Today, the time of recording this, was the last day of it, and I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good after it. It sucked during the reset. It sucked because I was working 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And yeah, that really sucked. Consistently just really sucked. But we are done with it. That is officially behind us. We did it, and hopefully I never have to do it again. More than likely, hopefully this time next year, I'm not doing this crap. So looking forward to that. A lot of thoughts though with that one, and I won't get into that because I don't care because it's over. But so much negativity, so much like opinions I currently have on people, or thoughts I have on people that I work with or work for, work adjacent to. But that's done. We're past that. Also, was it last Friday now? I went to see The Odyssey. Is it safe to talk about it? I mean, if you read the book, you know what happened in The Odyssey. So to me, that's not much of a spoiler because it is based off of the book. What I will say is I won't go in depth talking about the movie. All I will say is that as I've seen Twitter talk about, and I completely agree with it, there were no bad performances in The Odyssey. Everybody did an amazing job, and it's one of those movies that, like, it's not, I feel like, too often where I'm like, I want to see a movie a second time. I genuinely do want to go see this movie again, or like I wouldn't mind seeing it again. It was genuinely really good. Christopher Nolan is a fantastic director and visionary. And it's one of those things too. You don't realize how many Christopher Nolan movies you've seen. I still haven't seen Oppenheimer. Still got to watch that one. Still very much got to watch that. But I think I've only seen The Dark Knight. I've seen. Did he do Inception? I think I saw Inception recently. Within like the past like 2 months, I saw Inception. Uh, Probably some other Interstellar. I've seen as well. So I've seen some movies by Christopher Nolan, and he's certainly left me impressed every time. Um, Anne Hathaway was amazing in the film. Tom Holland did his thing. Matt Damon did a phenomenal job. Uh, Freaking Lupita stole the show in any role she was in. I'm always a big fan of Jon Bernthal and his roles in anything he does, really, that I get to watch. Again, just a bunch of characters that like did amazing. Robert Pattinson did great in his role in the movie as well. Again, I implore you, if you're on the fence to see The Odyssey, go see it, man. It was a great depiction of a fairy tale, a fantasy, a myth, if you will. On the topic of movies, there's a lot of movies coming out. Spider-Man's coming out in a couple weeks. We will definitely be going to see that. We'll talk about that. Also, that's a good thing as well to say. Like, if you hear this and you're interested in movie reviews or just my thoughts on movies, let me know. Instagram and Twitter at Nas Kaleem, Naaskaleem. I'm super down to talk about movies after I see them or shows after I see them. I really do enjoy kind of laying my thoughts out there clearly, as you know by listening to this podcast, because you're here to hear my thoughts about things, about a plethora of topics. So here we are. Yeah, man, excited for Spider-Man. They also dropped the Avengers Doomsday trailer, or the not final trailer, but I think the official trailer. It's safe to say. It was cool. I mean, like we could deep dive that a little bit too. Because we're doing self check-ins, but if you're, these self check-ins are what they are. We're just kind of talking at this point. It was a good trailer. I mean, like it is one of those things where, and I've seen a lot of talk on social media, and again, I agree with it too, where I didn't see Quantumania, Ant-Man Quantumania. So there's been a lot of conversation, obviously, with Jonathan Majors and what he did and the backlash and the repercussions, all that kind of stuff that happened, where obviously he lost the role of Kang the Conqueror, and it's one of those things where, like, sure, whatever, kick him out the universe, it's fine, blacklist him, do what you got to do, but like you can recast technically a role like Kang the Conqueror, who is typically a variant, or at least in this, I won't say I know anything about Kang other than what I've heard about him. I pay attention to comic books and stuff like that more nowadays, but I'm not overly familiar with Kang specifically. But to say he's a variant kind of character, he has multiple variants over multiple multiverses, which is where Marvel has been going over the past couple years. You could have easily had a variant of him. You could have recasted him as somebody else. So to not do that and kind of continue the direction you were going in kind of feels like a very missed opportunity by Marvel, which to a lot of people is the big reason that they're not overly excited for Doctor Doom. Because it's one of those things, and that I'm one side of it. Doctor Doom, people aren't excited. I am excited to see Doctor Doom on the big screen. I'm excited to see Robert Downey Jr. back in the role. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, right? Yes, if you read the comics and blah, 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 sure, whatever, great. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen in that role, especially when you consider a lot of the quote-unquote heaviest hitters from the trailer, at least, aren't in the movie. And that's another one of, the world's, pardon my French, my mouth's getting a little dry. A lot of people's gripe with the movie that they haven't even seen yet, and from one trailer, essentially, a lot of people's gripe is people like Captain Marvel, America Chavez, the Eternals, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, all these characters. Hulk wasn't in it either, technically. The Defenders weren't in it. There's so many characters that weren't in this trailer that a lot of people are just assuming just won't be in the movie, right? And let's be fair, let's be real, or think about it as well. It's kind of like this Doomsday movie is, again, haven't seen the movie, obviously. This, to me at least, this movie is just gonna be like Infinity War, right? It's the start. You know how Infinity War went? We had the big battle with Thanos, this big battle we've never seen before. At the end of the movie, Thanos snaps, erases half of the universe, and it's the dread, right? You leave the movie theater feeling dread. that's probably what this movie is going to be. Doctor Doom is just going to show up. He's going to be the big bad. He's going to wreck a lot of your favorite heroes, and probably a lot of them are going to die in this movie. But that's okay. A lot of them are going to die in this movie, and then we're going to get what is it? What is the last one called? I forgot what it's called. Secret? Is it Secret Wars? I don't remember what the last one is, because this is Doomsday. I don't remember what the last one is called. I think Secret Wars might have been something else. I don't know. Don't quote me. I don't know. To say that Endgame is going to be where you get your big hurrah and a lot of your heroes getting their comeuppance over Doctor Doom in some capacity. And it's also one of those things where you don't want to see Doctor Doom kind of disappear. At least I don't. Doctor Doom is one of those characters in comics that are just so interesting every time he's on the page, every time he's on the screen. And it's one of those things, I don't want to see him disappear after this. Sure, maybe you could recast him. Maybe Robert Downey Jr.'s version of him disappears. But, like, there's a variant of him that shows up and or is just a part of the Marvel Universe after this. Also considering that the Fantastic Four aren't a part of this universe, technically. They're part of a different multiverse or different, like I just said, universe. So there could be a Doctor Doom from their universe that maybe makes his way into this main timeline. So, there's things, there's things we can talk about. But again, a lot of people are making their assumptions about the Doomsday movie, the Doomsday, just what's going to happen based off of that one trailer. The X-Men are in the freaking movie, which is so dope to see. And they very much, again, the trailer, you saw the X-Men, you saw the Thunderbolts, you saw what is quote unquote the new Avengers, you saw, there's so many dope characters. You saw, Black Panther and the crew, you saw Namor and his people. Freaking Shang-Chi is back, bro. Shang-Chi is back in the movie, bro. He's back in the franchise after being benched for years. He's back, and I'm so excited to see him back because I like Simu. I like him. I liked his role in the movie. I like Chef's Kiss, man. I'm excited he's back in it. And I'm looking forward to, again, Spider-Man is another guy that wasn't in the trailer either. And again, it's just all of this. We're doing this. We're talking so much about what isn't in this one trailer. But dude, it's one trailer. What was it? Like a 3-minute trailer? Something like that. A 3-minute trailer where you're not going to get all your stuff. Thor is one of the biggest talking points in the movie, where it's like in almost every Avengers team up movie, Thor ends up getting beat up to show the strength of the villain, right? So like Doctor Doom catches, I think he catches Stormbreaker or Mjolnir, one of the two. He catches it with like 2 fingers, right? So it's like Aizen stopping Ichigo's blade with the finger. You know what I mean? It happens. I hate what they've done with Thor, because I've always been more of a fan of Thor being this like kind of no nonsense. I think my favorite depiction of Thor probably in the movies is when he's more serious. I hated Fat Thor. I hated Thor in Ragnarok. I typically haven't enjoyed Thor in a lot of the Marvel MCU depictions of Thor. Really haven't generally enjoyed him. I enjoy more serious, and what the comics at least show him as. He is a killer. Also, was he in the movie? I think he was in the movie too. Where the freaker Adam Warlock's not around either. We talk about him not being there. Who the heck was that? Bob. Bob was in the background. Shout out to Bob, because I talked about the Thunderbolts. Bob is there. Sentry. Yeah, Sentry. There you go. Goodness gracious. I'm excited for the movie. I don't care about all the negativity. I'm taking the positives away. The X-Men are back in the universe, or rather are just in the universe, and I'm super excited to see a lot of the, your Patrick Stewart's. Sorry, I don't know I can't remember his name off the top of my head, his actual name, but Magneto is back in the movie. The guy, Cyclops is in the movie. Like that. Yes, they're back. I really hope, and I fingers crossed, man, when they do it, right? When they do it, when we formally bring the X-Men into the universe, and I'm pretty sure they want to make the X-Men younger, or at least this next generation younger. I really hope, because we talk about variants, right? We talk a lot about variants. I'm hoping there's a way that we get the Michael Fassbringer Bender and my boy. I'm so sorry. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but like the Professor X and the Magneto of the kind of current continuity of X-Men that we currently have, the younger versions, X-Men First Class, Days of Future Past, these kind of versions of Magneto and Professor X. I hope we get these versions in the MCU because I'm a big fan of their depictions of them. I'm a big fan of Michael Fassbender and what he's brought to the Magneto role. I'm also a very big fan of, again, can't remember his actual name, but the guy who's playing Professor X. That movie, I saw Split a couple months ago. Fantastic in that movie as well. So I'm super excited, and I hope that we can find a way to bring them into the continuity as well. Because there's been a lot of really good depictions of these characters in other variations, and because we're doing multiverses, there's no shortage. Who knows? Who knows who could pop up in Doomsday, or eventually what the next movie is going to be whenever it comes out, a year or two from now. There's so many characters. Moon Knight was absent. We haven't seen Moon Knight. We haven't seen what's bro's name that was just in the freaking movie. We didn't say. Oh my god! Like Ironheart's not in it. Wonder Man is not in it. Like there's so many characters that Marvel has shown us over the past couple of years or decades now, right? Or decade of movies, almost 20 years of MCU movies that we haven't seen in so long that there's no shortage of people they could pull from this and that, and I can go on forever at this moment as I currently feel talking about the Doomsday trailer. But my bottom line is I enjoyed the trailer for what it was. It was one trailer. They're gonna drop another one at some point because this is only July. We're talking about this, and the movie comes out in December? I want to say comes out in December. There's so much time to do this. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Enjoy it for what it is. If you don't enjoy it, that's fine. You can have your critiques, but it's one trailer. It's not the end of the world. There's so much more time, and they're not going to reveal their hand in one trailer. You know what I mean? So other than that, we talked about movies coming up. What else is coming up? Resident Evil. I saw the Resident Evil trailer for the new one. This one has me more excited to see the movie than the first one did. So I might actually go see Resident Evil. This is going to be a really movie heavy year for me because there's a lot of movies coming out that I still want to see. Who else is coming up soon? There's a lot. I still have to see Obsession. I still have to see that. But again, there's a lot of dope films coming out that I really want to tap into and see. Other things coming up. Is it even important to say? Probably not, because we've talked a lot about this, and we spent 20 minutes talking about mostly the Marvel trailer. So again, if you want to hear me do reviews and discussions about films and TV shows and this and that, please let me know. I clearly enjoy talking about it, especially when you can kind of get passionate about it. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let's get into some meat and potatoes. I think I'll start here. Real quick, let's do some Formula One. Let's talk about F1, the current standing. So last week, we did once again see, I believe my boy won last week. I do think Kimi got the win again last week. I don't remember last week's race, and I don't know why. I don't remember it. I don't know why I don't remember last week's race, but I don't remember it. So the current standings as the drivers' standings go, Kimi is in number one, 6 wins and 6 poles. We've got Lewis Hamilton in second, 1 win, no poles, 159 points for him. Kimi has 204. George Russell is in third, but George Russell didn't finish last week's race. He did have a collision with Lewis Hamilton that kind of cost him the race there. We probably won't do too much of a deep dive. I'm just kind of gonna give you guys the general standings at this current moment. Charles Leclerc is in fourth. We got Lando in fifth. Oscar Piastri 6th. Max Verstappen at 7. Then we got Hadjar, Gasly, Lawson, Lindblom, Colapinto, Behrman, Bortoletto, Sainz, Albon, Ocon, Alonso. And then we got 4 people that have not collected points this year. That is Nico Hulkenberg, Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez, and Lance Stroll. Remains to be seen. But I should also say that apparently Aston Martin, which is Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll, did get upgrades to their power system and to the car this week. So we'll see how that goes. I did just see, though, that Lance Stroll did crash during, I think it was P1, the first practice. So hopefully it didn't happen in practice 2. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we will absolutely see what happens. But F1 is such a fun thing to watch when it's on its game. So I'm excited for this week's race, especially because this is the last race before the summer break. If we look at the Constructors' Championship, it is Mercedes very much in the lead. Number 1, Ferrari at 2. McLaren 3, Red Bull Racing is 151. They're in 4th place. Alpine and Racing Bulls are in 6th. And we got Haas, Williams, Audi, Aston Martin, and then Cadillac, who's collected no points in their debut season. So if we really just real quick, we can kind of talk about the standouts. There's been a lot of standouts. I think the big stories has been Kimi's ascension in his second year in F1 F1, yes. He's been awesome. He's been incredible. The best racer in F1 very clearly as he is number 1. And yeah, there's a lot of discussion about George Russell kind of losing his spot because to me at least, coming into the year, I had George Russell being the leader, right? Being the number 1 spot, right? Being the number 1 seat for Mercedes. But Kimi has shown that he's ready, right? He's tapped into that potential. He's doing really awesome this year, and I think it's also a testament to the car that Mercedes has put out there, right? Ferrari's looking awesome with Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc being more confident in the car this season. Obviously, week to week, that kind of changes, but both guys are certainly more confident, it seems like, in the car this year overall. Lando and Oscar for McLaren, I think it's been a little bit more of a struggle for both of them. They haven't seemed overly confident. I feel like for a lot of these other teams, they're not. Verstappen and Hadjar's been super impressive. I'm glad that he's in that top 10. I'm also super happy to see Alpine and Racing Bulls in the conversation as well. I'm loving just the mid battle, and I know a lot of the complaints, which I agree with, when you're watching the F1 races, is that there's not as much focus on the mid battles, right? We're always focusing on, Mercedes and Ferrari and McLaren at the top, Red Bulls at the top. We don't focus so much at kind of like 9th place, 10th place. We don't focus at the mid tier, the teams battling in the middle. Again, Alpine, Racing Bulls, Haas, Audi, Williams. We don't focus on these teams that are in the midfield battling for position as much as we should. I just realized I could sit. I don't even have to be standing this whole time like I typically do. Shout out to the ottoman that's like right here. Yeah, man, there's just so much discussion. I think we'll do a more in-depth discussion about F1 probably during the summer break. That'll probably be a really good time to do it. So we'll lock in there. Let's talk about the WNBA and their All-Star weekend. But before we do that, let me take a swig of this water right here, man. Let me take a second swig of this water. El agua. So, All-Star weekend, WNBA All-Star weekend, and I'm the WNBA is such a fun thing to watch. And I say remiss. I definitely was not watching the WNBA a couple years ago. That was not a thing. I gotta stand up. I lied. I gotta stand up. To me, my energy shifted when I sat down. Yeah, I wasn't super locked into the WNBA a couple years ago. Wasn't a thing. Wasn't a thing for me to be locked into it. Just there were certain players I was seeing. I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool. And as much as I don't like this player now, but like CC, Caitlin Clark is the person that kind of brought me into watching the WNBA, right? What she was doing in college basketball made me interested in women's basketball to the point where I'm like, you know what? I want to see what she does in the W. Though I was familiar with certain women in the WNBA and how they were playing, I wasn't locked in until I saw, okay, she's pretty good. Okay. And then now you're following a bunch of talent going from college into the WNBA. Like Angel Reese, I was following her going to the WNBA. I was super interested in what she had to do. And yeah, man. I'm locked in, bro. I'm super locked in with the talent, man. We got the Shooting Stars participants. We've got the 3-point contest. We got Tyler performing at the halftime show. I guess real quick, let's kind of, if I can find that information. If I don't find this immediately, I don't care to talk about it. Excuse me. Yeah, no, I probably don't care. So 3-point contest. I'm trying to see if I can click these. Okay. Well, here's the Shooting Stars. The Shooting Stars, which is essentially just the I'm pretty sure this is just the contest I liked back in the day. I'm trying to see if it'll briefly tell me what it is. 4 teams, blah blah blah. No, that doesn't really tell me what it is. It's a 2-round time shooting competition in which teams have 7 seconds to shoot as many points as possible from 7 shooting with Kane and the court and the competition. Yeah, so essentially this is just the competition that I enjoyed when I was younger in the NBA that I keep talking about they need to bring back. I think the NBA needs to take a page out of the NHL maybe even the Madden in regards to Madden, the NFL in regards to just the competitions that are done, the different ways, the different competitions, different ways you can do the game. Obviously, it's putting ball in hoop, and there's only so many ways you could do that. The WNBA doesn't do obviously a dunk contest. I'm sure a lot of them can dunk. I'm not going to make it a gender thing. I'm sure a lot of them can dunk. It's just in terms of in game, it's harder. But do you know how interesting that would be if you had a couple of them doing a dunk contest? That would be pretty interesting. I'm not going to lie to you. But I think it's on both sides. You got to find. To me, you have to find ways to bring more eyes to the product. I'm not saying WNBA. I'm saying generally, where like again, the NFL. Even though I don't watch their All Star competitions, I don't really watch All Star Weekend for the NFL either because it's really not interesting. They've gone to more of a flag football approach. They've done a lot of like target games and different competitions during their All Star Weekend, right? Same thing with the NHL. I've enjoyed the kind of competitions that they do. The All Star Game, they've done different formats for it. Also, I should say that this next upcoming All Star Weekend for the NHL will be in Long Island. I will be getting tickets to that. I will be going to that. Absolutely super excited for that. For the opportunity to go to that. Also, World Cup did just end. Shout out to Spain. Fuck Argentina. Fuck Messi. Nice. Let's move forward. Yeah, man. Yeah, I just think the NBA's got to find different ways, and I enjoy the little shooting stars competition. For what it is, what it was with the NBA. I think you just got to find other ways. Uh, we talk so much about the idea of like the 1v1 competition comes up a lot, and I do feel like if you lock into that idea, granted, Unrivaled is doing it when it's their all-star-ish rank kind of thing. Unrivaled does it. So, if the WNBA wanted to be petty or this and that, they could do the same thing. They could do their own version of the competition. But really what it is a lot of people are just too afraid to get embarrassed. And I think that's also, we talk about the dunk contest in the NBA. A lot of stars back in the day used to be in it. Kobe was in it. MJ was in it. Vince Carter was in it. Dwight Howard was in it. We used to have like superstar. Dominique was in it. We had superstars that were playing in these competitions, box office draws, Tracy McGrady, rising stars, established stars that were in these competitions, and now they don't want to do it. You don't see, you usually see, okay, we're going to get some G League guys, we're going to get some two-way players, we're going to get some rookies and maybe some sophomores in this competition, some young guys. Don't nobody want to do it no more. Everybody too cool for school. And yeah, part of it is every dunk's been done, pretty much. There's still room out there for some creativity, but a lot of dunks have been done. And, maybe we're at the point where the dunk contest is kind of a little obsolete, or you kind of got to maybe adapt it, do something a little bit different. I think we're getting to the point where you got to do something a little bit different. But there's room for improvement. There's room for different events, and maybe that's a conversation we could have at a different point in the podcast. We can come up with some ideas because they got to find some other stuff to do, man. Do a horse competition, do a 1v1. There's just so much you could do. I think it's just a matter of figuring it out, man. Have a game where you're playing, play the Globetrotters, play, WNBA, a pickup game. You could do the best from the W against the best from the NBA, a little competition for charity. There's stuff you could do. You know what I mean? The shootout, do a combined shootout for NBA All-Star Weekend, the WNBA against the NBA. We could do some cool stuff, man. It's just locking in. Adam Silver's got to figure out some stuff because All-Star Weekend is not what it used to be. Certainly, the enjoyment is not, at least from a fan perspective, the enjoyment is not there for me personally. Let's talk about the WNBA. So they got the Shooting Stars competition, which again is the competition I just talked about. I didn't talk about it really. I digress. Courtney Williams, Flouja, Shakira Austin, and Jessica Shepard will be in there. As far as current players go, we got Rebecca Brunson, Lauren Jackson, Ella Del Don, and Deanna Nolan will also be in there. We've also got some Nike, I don't know what this is, players. Nike NYBL. EYBL? One says NYBL, the other one says EYBL. Don't know what that is. We're going to move forward. The 3-point competition, just give me a second so I can find it again. is essentially going to be the big competition, right? And we'll talk about this in 1 second because I do want to get into this discussion. Serena Ionesco is not in the competition. She should be in the competition, but she wasn't invited to the competition. Same thing with who was it? Kayla McBride was not invited to the competition. Why you don't have two of your best, if not your two best 3-point shooters in the competition, I don't know. It's kind of gross that I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the participants in this 3-point contest, and I'm older than a couple of them. It's actually pretty gross. I'm older than three out of the 6 in the competition. That's pretty gross. Shout out to we'll talk about that in 1 second. Sorry, I'm reviewing this. All right, let's talk about the competitors. Bridget Carlton from the Portland Fire, 8-year pro out of Iowa State, also out of Canada. We got Azzy Fudd, Dallas Wings rookie from UConn and the US of A. She was born November 11th, apparently. Shout out to her. Natisha Heidemann, not sure, I think Heidemann, Seattle Storm guard, 8th year in the league out of Marquette. Ryan Howard, Atlanta Dream guard out of Kentucky, 5th year. Marina Mabry, the freaking flamethrower that she is, Toronto Tempo guard out of Notre Dame, 8th year. We got 3 8-year pros. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fire. And then Janelle Salon, Golden State Valkyries forward, 6'2", out of France, 2 years in the league. I don't know. I don't got two. I'm going for Mabry. Well, actually, I'm going for Azzy because I mess with Azzy for sure. Azzy and Marina are definitely my picks. Marina Mabry is fire, bro. Like, I'm not gonna pull up stats for all these people unless this will show me their stats as I'm looking at the All Stars right now. Where's Marina? Here she is. What is Marina averaging? 21 points per game. 3.4 rebounds, 3.6 assists. This season, I want to see what her 3-point percentage is, if it will. I'm not gonna do a deep dive. Like, I don't care that much, but it crossed my mind because she's outstanding in her field. She's playing out of her freaking mind. Yeah, it's not gonna show me her. And I'm not gonna go crazy trying to find it. So let's talk about the actual All Stars here. So we've got Team Coop and then Team Spoon. So was it fan vote? I believe it was. So Paige Beckers, thank you. Paige Beckers is I don't want to say captain, but she was the number 1 pick for Team Coop. We've got Caitlin Clark as the number 1 pick for Team Spoon. Yeah. There was a lot of conversation about who did make it, who didn't make it, as there is every time there's an All-Star game, and we kind of talk about these kinds of things. And man, let's just talk about it. So Team Coop slow it down. Team Coop has Paige Beckers, Sonia Citron, shout out to Sonia, Kalia Copper. I swear it was Cooper. Somebody's wrong, and it's probably me. Kalia Copper. Pardon me, guys, because I'm going to keep screwing up some of these names, and they ain't intentional. Natasha Howard, Minnesota. Marina Mabry, Toronto Tempo. We got Dominic Malonga out of the Seattle Storm. We got Kelsey Mitchell, Indiana Fever. Angel Reese, the girl, Atlanta Dream. Brianna Stewart, the Liberty. We got Gabby Williams. Shout out to Gabby Williams from the Golden State Valkyries. And then Jackie Young from the Aces. So, not a bad team, not a bad squad, but, this other side is freaking stacked too, man. We got, like I said, Caitlin Clark is on that team. We got Aaliyah Boston, also representing the Indiana Fever. We got Alicia Gray, Atlanta Dream. Ryan Howard, Atlanta Dream as well. We got Kiki Iriafen. I like Kiki. I just can't pronounce her last name. Jonquel Jones of Liberty. We got Olivia Miles, the girl, Minnesota Lynx, the baller herself. Top 2, top 3 MVP conversation, bro. Hear me. It is Aisha Wilson. She is the MVP. But we got to put a bunch of respect on Olivia Miles this year, man. She going to win Rookie of the Year. She doing a dang thing, man. Nyeka why am I trying to go crazy with it? Nyeka Ogwumike. I don't think that's how you pronounce it, but I know who she is. Legend of the Sparks. Jessica Shepard, Dallas Wings. We got Courtney Williams, Minnesota Lynx. Then we got Asia Wilson, the girl herself. The best in the league, the GOAT, Asia Wilson, Aces. It's one of them things, man. I think, my gosh, I'm a big Paige Beckers fan. I'm a big fan of Angel Reese as well. I just hurt myself. Those are the best players on that team. Also, Sonia's a walking bucket over there for the Mystics as well. But this other side though, hopefully Caitlyn doesn't play. I was gonna say enough, but hopefully she doesn't play. Period. Olivia Miles is goated. Jessica Shepard and Asia Wilson are probably your top two for MVP. If we're being real, because I think Shepard with her triple doubles is probably pretty heavily in that conversation. There's a lot of buckets on this team, man. Alicia Gray is a freaking bucket. She's a bucket. Yeah, nah, this team. Who's this team? Spoon. Team Spoon got it, bro. This, and I am looking at this team for like the first time, right? These two teams, and obviously every woman here is a bucket. Oh, here we go. Now it's showing me. I didn't know I could have went here and saw who all the graphic I needed to see. Yeah, everybody here is a freaking bucket, man. Everybody here is a bucket. I don't know. I'm excited. I don't got much to say about the WNBA All-Star Weekend All-Star Game, but I am excited for this competition and the competition. I'm excited for the weekend. I'm excited to watch the best in the world play, because the All-Star Game is genuinely one of the most fun things to watch, I think, in sports. When it's done right, when the people are actually playing. I'm pretty sure last year's All-Star Game was like super high scoring or was competitive. And really, you just want a competitive game, I think, at the end of the day. And that's certainly what I think we'll get. Because I do think that they're going to go out there and play hard, especially when you get to the fourth quarter. However, I don't know what their format is. If they have a point total, if they're going to kind of adopt how the NBA does their All-Star games now, which, as I say every time we talk about it, I hate the way the NBA does their All-Star weekend. Let's talk about, let's move forward. Let's talk about the G1. Let's talk, kind of update it just a little bit. First and foremost, Shota Umino's out the G1, right? Let's just pull that Band-Aid off. Shota Umino's out the G1. He got hurt night one. Was it night one? Yeah. He got hurt against Gabe Kidd in Chicago. And wait, no, what? He got hurt night two. He got hurt in his match against Gabe Kidd. Right, because Gabe Kidd didn't wrestle night one. Am I bugging? Gabe Kidd did hurt him. So yeah, Gabe Kidd. I'm missing something. It's Zach. Zach and Shota Umino had the match. Zach injured Umino. Well, he didn't injure him, but after the match, Umino was hurt after wrestling Zach. Yeah, sorry, brain fart. That's what it is. That is what it is. Those are the points. That's what I'm referring to. I'm confused with the points I'm looking at here. Why do some of these guys only have 3 matches? I'm very confused by what I'm seeing here. Don't ask me why I'm such a hairy guy. I'm Harry Noon at night. Yeah, that's a fright. Sorry, I'm quoting. I'm reading, and that's why I'm quiet. Sorry, guys. I'm confused. Yes, Umino is hurt. He's out the G1. All of his matches are forfeited, which means everybody automatically gets 2 points. That was facing him. Zach obviously beat him, so he automatically would get the 2 points. So I do know my prediction was Yuya against, I think, Suji it was in the finals. Oh, no, it was Yuya against Callum in the finals, I'm pretty sure. Or am I lying? I think it was, wait, are they in the same block? Yeah, it was Yuya against Suji in the finals. That was my prediction. And then Yuya was going to make his way back to Suji at some point. I don't think he was going to win if Suji made it to the finals, but then Yuya would get his opportunity. Suji would choose an opponent, probably lose the title before Wrestle Kingdom, and then get his rematch at Wrestle Kingdom, and then probably win it again at Wrestle Kingdom. That was the prediction, essentially there. I am Team Yuya. I got Yuya all the way, so it is okay that, I think I predicted Umino to not win, but to have a decent enough run in the tournament. So there's really nothing too surprising from kind of the points. Zach has lost 2 matches, but he's lost against Yuya, and he lost against, I want to say he lost to Callum, too. So it's like he's lost his 2, he lost his 2 matches to 2 of the guys that are projected to be at the top of the block. So he's still going to win a bunch of these matches here, still in this tournament. Kind of the standouts that I can say thus far, there's a lot of standouts, really. I will say this. Gabe Kidd's matches are interesting, right? And if you've been listening to this podcast since the beginning, I've sung Gabe Kidd's praises probably since the first episode. Since the first time we talked about New Japan on this podcast, I've been singing Gabe Kidd's praises. I'm not fully enjoying his current run, and I think I've noticed how much he's a madman, So he's really he curses a lot. He's like really into the spitting at the crowd, spitting on his opponents, flipping them off, telling them to suck his Johnson again, and cursing. And like, I'm not a fan of that level of being a heel. I feel like it's super easy to get heat by doing stuff like that. And there's a lot of guys in wrestling that do that. Like MJF, for instance, does the spitting thing a little bit. He insults the crowd. Um, but I feel like the overly cursing, and I think a reason Gabe Kidd probably does it, and I'm speculating, I'm talking my opinion from my perception of watching him. And again, I'm talking as a fan of Gabe Kidd here. I think, again, there's a language barrier. So like the Japanese fans, he's British. He speaks English. They're Japanese. It's not the first language, English. So it's one of those things. I wonder if it's a language barrier. Why it's just super easy to show I'm a bad guy and I want you to hate me by spitting at the opponent, flipping you off, telling you things in English that you probably know, what it means, telling you to suck my Johnson and this and that. It's just a lot of that. And again, I think it's a super easy way to get heat, super cheap way to get heat where, it's different. I think when you have a lot of guys like Callum Newman that actually he spits too, but he also cheats in some of his matches. I mean, Zane J helps him cheat. Ren Narita with House of Torture gets a lot of interference on his side. You know what I mean? So there's different ways of going about it. Great Khan's been using a lot of weapons. He's been using a chair in pretty much every match in the G1 thus far. He's won by count out against Sonata. So like Great Khan, the way he's doing it, Sonata actually won his last match fair and square, which was actually really dope to see. So there's different ways of doing it, the heel thing, and everybody's got their own thing, but it's just it sucks because I want to see like things. And also Gabe Kidd went from New Japan to AEW, so he's also again showing the heel side by AEW number one, AEW Ichiban kind of thing. So in character, he's absolutely doing a great job. Moral of the story, he's done a great job with his character. I like Gabe Kidd. He's done a great job with his character. It's just, it bothers me, but that's the point. It's supposed to bother me. So that, I just want to say that stood out to me. As far as other guys that really stood out, Drilla at 6 points. And it's one of those things, I think I've started to notice this about these kind of tournaments, these round robin tournaments, is that typically the guys that are going to be at the bottom do get off to a hotter start, or they, they're mid-table, or the guys that end up mid-table get off to a hot start. So like Drilla Maloney has 6 points. He's 3-1. Hanare 3-1. He has 6 points. They're not going to win the block, but the fact that they are up a little bit more is, the fact that they already have 6 points does mean that they're hitting their ceiling soon, right? They're probably going to lose a couple more matches soon. They're probably going to lose their next 2 matches each, maybe. Aaron Wolf is at 4 points. Ren's at 4 points. Oscar's at 4 points. They're probably all not going to get more than that. Or, I'm sorry, they're probably all going to cap out at about 8 to 10 points. But we'll see what happens. But those 5 guys are probably at the bottom. Again, Yuya, Zach, probably Gabe and Callum at this point are your guys to finish a little higher. And with Umino not being there, do New Japan pivot with maybe what they wanted to do? I think a lot of people, I'm surprised to see the amount of people that were kind of pro Shota Umino, that were thinking this was his tournament to win. But this will only add more fuel to the fire of Shota having that second chapter, having that next wind. And it'll be very interesting to see what he does when he comes back. Again, does he use this opportunity to add more of the edge? Do we see a change in character, a tone shift? I don't know, but I'm interested to see what he does when he comes back. Something I just realized, though, because I had this blocked off on my laptop here, of competitors in the G1. And we talk about, I think, stinkers in the G1, people that just are the worst. Jake Lee is just a person wrestling in the G1. And typically every G1 there is that. And, I'm surprised, I want to say, by how little House of Torture interference there has seemingly been in the G1. At least in matches I've seen, right? Like, Ren and Sonata are your 2 representatives, but I feel like I don't remember there being too much interference by House of Torture. Maybe I'm wrong, because I haven't been the most locked in over these 2 weeks because of the overnight I was doing. But man, Jake Lee is just something to watch, man. Who just hit a home run? Shout out to Ken McMahon. Jake Lee is something to watch, man. And I'm trying to not be overly negative because I'm glad he's back. Again, if you've been listening to this podcast, I was ready for Jake Lee to come back. I was still talking about him during his injury and had ideas for when he would come back and this and that. But I didn't think he'd come back like this, right? The kind of clown jester character doing goofy stuff. I will say his win over Goto was interesting in the way he did it, where he came back from, what was it, a torn ACL and then maybe something else. I don't know. It was something, or concussion, and then he had an injury to his knee, something like that, right? And he kind of feigns the injury, right? He's on the outside of the ring. He lands awkwardly. The medical staff comes out there. Jacob Austin-Young is playing it up, and Goto's worried. This and that. Jake Lee kind of gets him into a false sense of security and hits him with the face break shot, I think, in the corner, and wins, right? He wins off of that. So yeah, Jake Lee did the right. I mean, it worked. It didn't bother me that he beat Goto in that fashion. But overall, the shenanigans that Jake Lee does in his matches don't appeal to me, right? But in a company that's so serious like New Japan, where the in-ring product is the end-all be-all, having the people that do these other things, that do a lot of character work, that play to the crowd, are very much needed. So I respect it. It's just not for me. But let's just talk about the points real quick. So Jake Lee, Goto, Oiwa, Takeshita, Bolton all have 4 points. Tsuji, Sonata, Great Okan, Takagi, and Yuto Ice have 2 points, and that is A block. B block, Callum Newman, Gabe Kidd, and Drilla Maloney, as well as Hanare, have 6 points. We've got Wolf, Narita, Oscar, Yuya at 4. ZSJ is in 9th place with 2, and then once again, Umino forfeited due to an injury, so he's out of the tournament. I should also say, I guess matches that kind of stood out. We're getting ready to see Bolton and Takeshita. I'm super excited for that. There have been, and don't quote me because I don't remember a lot of the matches that I did see. Yuto and Takeshita I did enjoy. I think Yuto had to. I think the match, and I think we didn't get Bolton and Yuto iced like I wanted to properly because I think Yuto got hurt. I think he was concussed. I think he literally got knocked out and couldn't finish the match. So remiss for that one. I think Oiwa wrestled Shingo. That was fun. I love Oiwa, man. Oiwa's so good. This block is the block for the freaking. I think funny enough, people were crapping on this block and they said B block was the better block. I think both blocks are good, right? Both blocks have stinkers, but there's also a lot of good guys in there, right? So I think Jake Lee and Great Okan are probably your stinkers. If Sonata locks in like he did against Goto, was it Goto or am I tweaking? Who did he wrestle? Hold on, let me make sure that was the. No, it was Sonata and Tsuji. So Sonata and Tsuji had a really good match where Sonata actually locked in. I was actively rooting for Sonata to win. So if Sonata locks in for the rest of this tournament and doesn't cheat, we could see a good, block here. Where you're already gonna get your shenanigans between Jake Lee and Great Okan, seeing the rest of the tournament do their thing, the rest of the block doing their thing was welcomed. And then again, on the other side of it, stinkers. Ren is probably a stinker. Aaron Wolf is probably a stinker, no offense. So again, to see other people in this block being on an actual wrestling level and actually having matches in the ring is good to see. And say what you want to say about Gabe Kidd's shenanigans and Callum Newman's shenanigans. They are actually actively wrestling, despite the shenanigans they might pull. So this G1 has been fun so far. We still got a long way to go. I think everybody's wrestled between 3 to 4 matches thus far. So we still got a ways to go in the tournament. And I'm super excited for all of the wonderful matches to come. At the time we're recording this, tomorrow will be the next day of the tournament. And I know, once again, we got Bolton and Takeshita on the next night of the tournament. So I'm super, super excited for that one. With that being said, let's actually talk about AEW Redemption, as we are 54 minutes into this episode. And we got a loaded card, man. So we are in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Bell Center. This is the last show before we hit Wembley next month. And boy, oh boy, do we have a fun card tonight. Let's get into it. We got a double chain tag team tag team match, no title match, tag team match between the Bang Bang Gangs, Jay White and Juice Robinson, and then the Dogs, Clark Connors and David Finlay. What I've noticed, and I saw, and I think the only reason I'm thinking what I'm about to say is because I saw someone else present this idea on Twitter last night. The idea of what the Wembley card is going to look like, right? And it made me think, how do we get there, right? So I saw the idea of Jay White against Jon Moxley. Only makes sense. Jay White was pretty much taken out by the Death Riders. The last time he was here, the Death Riders were literally running roughshod over AEW and ruling it with an iron fist and this and that. And last time Jay White was there, he said he was going to get his comeuppance on the Death Riders. So my thought was, how do we get there? I expected when he came back, he's immediately going for the Death Riders. How do we get there at Wembley to have that match? It starts here. Double chain tag team match. If you're watching AEW, the Dogs and the Death Riders have been pretty closely associated, and I think a lot of that is because of Gabe Kidd's association with both groups. So we have that association. We've also seen the Bang Bang Gang be associated with Cage and Cope. Later on in the card, we do have a tag team title match between the Death Riders and Cage and Cope. So right there, you've got your connection that will probably cross over, and it starts right here in this chain tag team match between the Bang Bang Gang and the Dogs. This is going to be a great match. All four guys are freaks, just freaks of nature in the best way possible. Especially Clark Connors and Juice Robinson, they are freaks. There's so much chemistry between these four guys, whether it be singles matches, tag matches, multi-man matches. There's a lot of chemistry here. But I think it's the Bang Bang Gang. I think Jay White makes his return to TV. He did just beat Clark Connors on Dynamite, I believe, this past Wednesday. It's only fitting for them to get the win. It's sorry, slow it down. It's a pretty much a dog collar match, essentially. Or there's going to be chains attached to both teams by a collar, I believe. So it's going to be bloody. It's going to be really good. I'm assuming Clark is going to bleed. I would think Juice Robinson is going to bleed as well. So I'm excited for this match. I'm a fan of all four guys, and I got the Bang Bang Gang winning. The reason being, it is probably Jay White against Jon Moxley. I don't know what Clark and Finlay do. I doubt they have anything big going on for Wembley. Same thing with Juice. I think they're all kind of background characters for Wembley. And remember, that's August. September, we're probably going, was it All In? All Out, All In, All In, All Out? I don't know which one it is. Whichever one it isn't, we'll see in September. So, there's that. I don't think these three guys get involved. There will probably be, again, I saw this on Twitter, the Casino Gauntlet for the men. You can expect these three guys to probably be in a Casino Gauntlet that I mentioned there. So I got the Bang Bang Gang getting the win here. The international titled number one contenders 6-way ladder match. If you're following along, Fletcher will be defending his title later on in the show against Bandito. So for that reason, we got a number one contenders match. At the time of recording, we knew 4 of the competitors, but according to this website, we know the other 2 guys. And I think the reason for it is because Collision was naturally recorded last night on Wednesday. Well, today's Friday. It was recorded on Wednesday after Dynamite, or before Dynamite, one of the two. So we already know who won and everything like that. So, the Beast Mortals, El Clone, Mike Bailey, Jack Perry, Commander, and Nick Wayne are going to be the 6 people in this ladder match. And as we talk about it, I realistically, like, Nick Wayne doesn't win, Commander doesn't win, El Clone doesn't win, Mortals doesn't win. It's actually super fun that there's 3 luchadors in here that are freaking all insane in different ways. Mike Bailey being the Canadian boy who I think should get the win, ultimately. Jack Perry is another interesting one where I also think he should get a win, but I also think he should be going up the card. Especially he re-signed. He said he's looking to win the AEW World Championship, so it's also pretty interesting that he's in this international title match. But I don't see him, and again, he's also part of the fact that, the Elite have the problem with the Don Callis family and everything like that. So, to me, it comes down to Jack Perry and it comes down to Mike Bailey. And realistically, it's probably Mike Bailey. He's in Canada. Now, if this was for the TNT title, it would be a lot easier to predict this match going to Mike Bailey. You could make the argument for Jack Perry. Do you get Jack Perry against... Well, really, the winner of this is facing Kyle Fletcher. So it depends the direction you decide to go in, right? And whoever loses this match, do they have a match lined up afterwards? right? What is the match at Wembley if these two guys lose their opportunity? Because obviously, the way that the booking of things is going, it looks like we're going to get a triple threat match at Wembley. Kyle Fletcher, Kazuchika Okada, and Konosuke Takeshita. It looks like that's where we're going at Wembley, which means that whoever wins this match is probably fighting, could be on Wednesday. This upcoming Wednesday, we could see the title match. So, I don't know. I think because of affiliation, it's probably going to be Mike Bailey. Again, he's in Canada. You can easily go with Mike Bailey and Konosuke Takeshita against Kyle Fletcher and Kazuchika Okada after the G1. Which maybe to that point you get Jack Perry winning because Takeshita isn't there, so you can easily go with maybe Jack Perry and the Young Bucks against Kyle Fletcher, Okada, and you could put Kevin Knight in there. You could put probably not Kevin Knight. You could put anybody in that match to kind of take the pin, whatever the case. You could put El Clone is in the faction. You could put El Clone, Fletcher, and Okada on the next show against, what did I just say? Jack Perry and the Young Bucks. Young Bucks aren't on the card. You could do that, build things up because there's a lot of implications, a lot of matches going into Wembley, and we're definitely gonna see what happens there. Prediction: Mike Bailey. AEW TBS title match. We've got the champion Hikaru Shida taking on the champion or challenger Maya World. And to me, this is also another match that's pretty kind of open to me. It's kind of very much just in the air. Shida won Survival of the Fittest a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was. I believe it was the Wednesday after. It was the Wednesday after their last pay-per-view, so it was last month essentially, or maybe very early this month. She won the Survival of the Fittest match. So Maya World in that same show wrestled Mercedes Moné. So here's also my thought process with this match: is Maya World's going to lose, right? Just get that out the way. Shida's going to retain the title. I'm very interested to see what she does at Wembley. Do they make it another multi-woman match? There's really no, off the top of my head, any UK women, no British woman specifically, that will challenge Shida. I mean, do we go Shida and Statlander? Do we go, which also kind of works, mind you, to do that match. They have their history. I don't even know if they had the one-on-one blow-off match. We haven't seen Toni Storm in a very long time. That could be fun, but then it would be obvious who would win that match. I think Shida and Statlander does feel like a pretty good shout for Wembley. Again, unless they make it a multi-woman match, AEW can do multiple women's matches on the card. I promise it's okay. We love the women's division in AEW. And for me, Maya World is probably going to be facing Athena. Athena's from Texas, I believe. Maya World is too. I said Texas as if that the show is in Texas, by the way. It seems like the signs are pointing towards Maya World winning. I don't know if she wins the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. I don't know if maybe that's the direction we go in. Also, maybe the idea of Maya World beating Hikaru Shida here and then losing the title to Athena at Wembley, and then maybe they run it back at All Out, All In, whatever the case, and maybe Maya World gets the win there. I don't know. Different things you could do, certainly. So I don't really know. My prediction is going to stay Hikaru Shida. I do think Athena interferes, costing Maya World. If we saw at the end of, Maya World beat her to qualify for the finals of the Owen, and then, on the last pay-per-view, Athena did talk trash about Maya World. So signs kind of point to me, at least, of Athena interfering. Then we get that match at Wembley, more than likely. Maybe we get it after that at, again, whatever show is All Out, All In, whatever show is after that. Maybe we run the match back there. I don't know. But Shida wins because of Athena interfering against Maya World. That is the idea. You know what's so crazy? I just talked about the Young Bucks not being on this card because I didn't look ahead. The Young Bucks tag team match. The Young Bucks will be taking on the Death Riders of Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay. So another match that I talked about implications, and yeah, maybe there are implications I missed out on because one thing. Okay, I'm trying to remember what I. Yeah, I don't remember how much the Death Riders are affiliated with the Don Callis family. I don't think that affiliation exists in AEW, so kind of one of the ideas I was presenting before doesn't work. But we've got the Young Bucks against the Death Riders nonetheless. I would think the Death Riders get the win here. But also at the same time, if the Young Bucks are going to challenge for the tag titles at Wembley, then we really can't. They can't lose this match, right? You lose the momentum if you lose this match, unless there's cheating. But also, Ospreay can't lose this match because he's challenging for the world title after this. So it's a weird. It's a weird. This card is very interesting because it is setting the tone. It is setting the scenes for Wembley, where there is the conglomeration, or conglomeration adjacent. There's a couple matches with people from there. You've got, the Don Callis family. You got the Death Riders. You got the Dogs who are affiliated with the Death Riders. You've got the Bang Bang Gang, the Bang Gang affiliated with Cage and Cope. You got the Elite on the card. There's so many affiliations on this card that all kind of tie in to where Tony Khan could just do a freaking 10-on-10 tag match, run it for 2 hours, 10-on-10 tag match. Let's just freaking do it. There's so many people affiliated in one way or another on this card, that all tie together, man. And this is interesting. I think the Young Bucks have to get this win if you're going tag title match at Wembley, but then I don't know how they get there if they lose. Why would Cage and Cope give the opportunity to them if they lose? You know what I mean? Unless they kind of lose and then beat somebody to get the title shot, or maybe they win the titles before we get to Wembley and then something happens. I don't know. But also, Ospreay shouldn't be losing going into Wembley. But he's facing the Elite he's facing the Young Bucks that are affiliated with Kenny Omega. So again, there's layers to this, and maybe this is where we start to see the seeds of dissent. Maybe Moxley gets pinned by the Young Bucks, and it's because Ospreay fails to make the save, and it plants the seeds for Moxley having doubt in Ospreay and seeing the weakness, and then this and that. So I'm gonna go with the Young Bucks. I don't know how it happens. I don't know how we get there. I don't know how it happens, but I'm gonna go with the Young Bucks. I'm also interested in the idea that maybe Garcia and Wheeler interfere or get involved and we get a post-match beatdown, and then maybe the New Day show up. Whether it's here, whether it's leading up to Wembley. If they had a no-compete clause, it's done. It expired. They don't, to my knowledge. So I'm intrigued, but I'm going to go with the Young Bucks. Cage and Cope defending the tag titles against the Death Riders of Claudio, Castagnoli, and Pac. Another match I'm super intrigued by. I think Pac is wrestling in CMLL. Has nothing to do with anything. I just wanted to point that out. Also, I want to point out, I did watch this really fun match this morning when I got home from the reset. Ryoya Tanaka against Homare for the Brave Gate title, I believe, in Dragon Gate. First Dragon Gate match I've watched in like some time, but I've heard great things about both guys. I've been keeping up enough with the company. Also, shout out to KZ. KZ won the Dream Gate title. Shout out to KZ, man. Big shout out to him. So I'm gonna get back into Dragon Gate. If there's a way I can watch it for, because it's a Pirates Light for me. If there's a way I can watch it, I will absolutely watch it. But I just wanted to point that out there. Also, shout out to Natsupoi, who will be retiring in 2027. Getting back to the show. Yeah, Cage and Cope against the Death Riders. I mean, I would not be opposed to the idea of the Death Riders winning. Pac walking into Wembley as a tag champ. I wouldn't be opposed to this idea. I kind of like that idea. It also gives the Death Riders more power to have the tag titles, and then yes, you can run. Maybe we get Claudio and Pat. We can do that actually. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Oh, then I have to switch it. My thought process. And let me tell you my thought process. I just realized we didn't talk about one of the things we were supposed to talk about, so this episode might be longer. Claudio and Pac. Let's just say they win the tag titles here. Let's say that, okay, Moxley and Ospreay did win the other match, right? Okay, Death Riders stand tall. Maybe the Young Bucks talk crap. They think that they can get the win. They beat, in non-title action, they beat Wheeler and they beat Garcia. All right, cool. Then they wrestle Claudio and Pac and they beat them. Again, non-title action. Oh, well, we beat the champs, so we should get a tag title match. All right, cool. 3-way tag title match. Young Bucks, Cage and Cope, Death Riders, but, mystery team The New Day show up. The New Day show up. Maybe it's a beatdown. Maybe I can't see Cage and Cope not being at Wembley, by the way. But maybe it's we could do a 6-on-6. I don't know if AEW's done that 12-man tag thing. I think they have done it. 12-man tag. Young Bucks, Cage and Cope, New Day, Death Riders. But keep in mind Kenny Omega, Ospreay. So like maybe you can't do that because you need Kenny to still be building his match to Wembley. So then you kind of do, probably gonna be a 10-man tag. I don't know. There's different ways we could do this, but yeah, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go Death Riders getting the win in this tag title match. Give Claudio and Pac their flowers. Give them their title opportunity. Let them walk into Wembley. No holds barred. Jericho against Ciampa. Don't care. Couldn't care less. I hope Ciampa wins, but because Jericho is the pain maker in this match, he's probably going to win. Let's move forward. Mark Davis will be defending the national title against Andrade El Idolo. I'm gonna take a swig of water real quick before I get into this. Two swigs of water, mind you, as I've lost my voice from screaming. I got Andrade getting the win. Again, this is the Don Callis family against Andrade, who has left the Don Callis family at this point. Andrade is also a member of United Empire. Let's not forget that. And there are still very big tensions there, as well as, Ospreay and Callum Newman. I can't wait to see how that circles back around come Wrestle Kingdom, because we didn't forget. The North remembers. The North remembers. Mark Davis and Andrade should be an amazing match. Andrade has been getting the better of the Don Callis family over the past couple weeks since he left the family. Mark Davis has been having a pretty fun run as the champion, and I've actually enjoyed seeing him get the spotlight because he was kind of looked at as the forgotten guy in his tag team, the quote-unquote Marty Jannetty of the tag team, the guy that wasn't going to make it, because every tag team has that one guy that's just going to be the star and the other guy that's just kind of there. Typically that's the case sometimes, but nowadays you kind of do see both guys flourish a little bit more. So that's why Andrade is going to get the win. I think Mark has had a nice run with it lately. I don't think this title needs to be the kind of title that we hold on to for a long time, that guys have super long runs with. Andrade also wrestles in CMLL. He wrestles in New Japan. I think you can easily have this title be defended in other countries via Andrade. And not that Mark Davis can't do it too, but I think Andrade opens up a can of worms and opens up so much more competition options than Mark Davis would. So I'm going to go Andrade because it also furthers the feud for the Don Callis family. You can absolutely have somebody in the family beat Andrade. You could have Brian Cage beat Andrade because he's been pretty solid since coming back. You could have Hechicero get the win. Maybe Hechicero and Andrade. I don't think that's a match we've run. Let's do that one. That sounds fun. AEW International title match, Bandito against Kyle Fletcher, the champion. Fletcher retains. There's really not much to say there. We're going to get the triple threat at Wembley. Bandito probably ends up in the Casino Gauntlet at Wembley. I just don't know what Bandito does. Otherwise, does he go back in the tag ranks with Brody King? I'm a fan of Bandito, and we are not giving up on this idea that Bandito will be challenging for the world title or will be a world champion next year in 2027. I'm hopeful for it. Yes, I am. Fletcher's going to get the win. AEW Women's World Title match, Tekla against Willow Nightingale. So a lot of signs here are pointing to Willow getting the win, right? Willow comes back from the injury. She wins the, the Women's Casino Gauntlet? I think they did a women's one, right? Yeah, they did a Women's Casino Gauntlet at the last pay-per-view. Or was it on TV? I don't know. She won the last one. And she takes on Tekla. The winner of this will take on Mercedes Moné at Wembley. And the signs are pointing to Willow getting the win tonight and then taking on Mercedes. However, Tekla has been a great champion. She's brought something very different to the title, injected some toxicity, no system of a down, into this women's division, into the women's title. If Tekla loses the title, what does she do at Wembley? Because she absolutely should not miss Wembley. Do you make it a triple threat? I think you can make it a triple threat. Because there's also a lot of money in doing a maybe 3v3v3 on the build to Wembley, doing Tekla and the Sisters of Sin. You've got Mercedes Moné and the Divine Dominion, and then you could have Willow, Hartley Cameron and maybe Chris Statlander in another version of the match. Maybe Sheeta interferes. You could do Maya World because you had Maya World Heian or Heian. So there's different variations you could do. Different variations we could do of the match getting to Wembley. And I got Willow getting the win. She came back. She dropped the TBS title for a reason. And if she doesn't win this match, what does she do at Wembley? She definitely shouldn't wrestle with Athena again for the Ring of Honor Women's title, because that's, no offense, it's kind of a downgrade at this point. For her, she should be winning the AEW Women's World title, and I think that's the direction we go in. Statlander got it done. I think it's time for Willow to also get it done. Also, we talked about the Divine Dominion. More than likely, they take on the Brawling Birds. I think we've just been waiting for that match. We've been waiting for Wembley at this point. That's the direction we're going in there as well. AEW World title match. The champion, Kenny Omega, taking on the challenger, Kevin the Jet Knight, also the TNT champion. Yeah. Kenny's gonna get the win. There's no conversation, really. Kenny's gonna get the win. We're gonna get Kenny and Ospreay at Wembley, and it's just a matter of what does Kevin Knight do at Wembley. I've seen some calls for Swerve. I've seen some calls for Hangman. Neither guy is on the Wembley card. Hangman did just come back, and I already forgot whatever he did when he came back because I haven't seen him since. I'm intrigued. Kevin Knight is the TNT champion. Also, Darby. Actually, Darby just lost his title match. So, I don't know what Darby does, actually. Maybe there's a match between the Don Callis family and then Darby Allin's group of merry men. That would be fun. Mike Bailey, Darby Allin, the conglomeration and conglomeration adjacent against the members of the Don Callis family. That sounds like a match to happen at Wembley. Whether you can get some sort of stadium stampede, Anarchy in the Arena type of match to go on there could be fun. Maybe a straight up, 12-man tag or something of that nature to open up the card would be also a pretty good idea. Who knows? But Kenny's going to get the win. And then for Kevin Knight, it's just a matter of what direction he goes in to Wembley, because there's no way he should not be on the Wembley card. That was AEW Redemption, my predictions there. And what I didn't realize is we hadn't talked about the elephant in the room, and really the main reason that we wanted to go live for this podcast episode. LeBron James made his decision, and he's taking his talents to the city of brotherly love. He's going to Philadelphia, and it sucks because I've lost my voice. Pretty much, I feel pretty hoarse. My mouth is dry. I've got nothing, but here we are. I'm gonna take another swig, and we're gonna get into this one. So this is a very interesting one. Really, we were just waiting. I was just chilling in my room talking to my mom. All of a sudden, I swipe down on my phone, and then I see LeBron James makes a decision. He's going to Philly. 2 years, $8 million. And, hey, he wants to win a championship. It's crazy because I was laying in my room talking to myself about it like a couple hours ago. Just talking about the NBA and what this decision does. It, for one, gives the rest of the league the opportunity to finish free agency, fill out the rest of their teams. LeBron has made his decision. He's not coming to your team. You can fill out the rest of your team. You can re-sign your restricted free agents. You can put in offers for restricted free agents. You can sign the guys like Bradley Beal and Draymond Green. We can find out what happens with Kawhi and the trade that he is dealing with. Again, other players are out there too. Your restricted free agents like Jonathan Kuminga, Jalen Duren. There's a lot of players still out in free agency to sign. So I'm intrigued to see what happens. Also, Adam Silver can do the schedule properly. He can put out the NBA schedule and stop playing around and waiting, pretending like he's waiting for LeBron. And that's why I don't care what anybody says. LeBron is still the face of the NBA until he retires. Who else is holding up the schedule like LeBron is? No one. So there you go, right there. So as we talk about kind of the idea, LeBron teams up with Jaylen Brown, who, if you're not keeping up with the NBA offseason, got traded for Paul George, among other myriads of things happening too. But that was the main crux of the trade. We also see, once again, LeBron James, Jaylen Brown combining in Philly with Joel Embiid. You got Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, who's going into year 2, and having that talent around him is only going to get even better. Same thing for Maxey. Also, you just look at guys that they have. They also drafted LeBaron Philon. I wasn't going to talk about the rookie aspect of things too much, but they drafted LeBaron Philon. You look at the bench. LeBron reunites with D Wade in Philly. I put that joke on Twitter. Hopefully it gets some likes. Hopefully that tweet blows up because I thought it was really creative, and I'm sure other people thought about it, but I thought that I tweeted it first. Yeah, LeBron has Dean Wade, not D Wayne Wade, but still he has a D Wade in Philly. Yeah, if you feel me, holla if you hear me. So Dean Wade is on the bench there. You got Anthony Simons, Adem Bona, Ariel Hukporti. So I mean, all these are additions and re-signings over this offseason. So Philly's got some pieces, but I do think they still got to fill out that team a little bit more. Knowing you have LeBron now, you got to get guys to complement LeBron on that team. I think they got to get some more shooting and defense on that team. Some people are not confident in the center rotation if Embiid is hurt. I can't say I disagree with it, but who are you signing? I think Adem Bona. I like Adem Bona enough, but I understand. Yeah, Hukporti's not enough. We talk about Johnny Broom, who's going into his, is this his second year? Rookie year? I'm not sure. Johnny Broom is there. Got Dominic Barlow is also still technically there too. So you've got some bigs in your rotation, but they might need a better big. Does Draymond Green make his way to Philadelphia to join LeBron James? I could not imagine Draymond Green and Joel Embiid in the same locker room. And also, I don't want that to happen to VJ Edgecombe or Tyrese Maxey because I really like those two guys. So hopefully Draymond does not make his way to Philly. But as we kind of talk about, that's the Philadelphia, and I've stayed away from the odds and stuff like this because I don't care about betting odds and Vegas odds and this and that. I make my own opinions. I try to make my own opinions and come to my own conclusions. But when you look at the Eastern Conference, because we're only going to talk about the Eastern Conference right now, this isn't the off-season review episode, but I would be remiss if I didn't kind of talk about it a little bit. When we look at the top of the Eastern Conference, it is Philly up there, but we can't forget about the Knicks. How quickly we forget about the fact that New York Knicks are still there. Again, the big group of Brunson, Cat, Josh Hart, OG, Mikal Bridges, your starting lineup essentially right there. Yes, you lost Mitchell Robinson, you lost Ukporti. Did they lose Landry Shamet? I want to say they lost Landry Shamet, if I'm not mistaken. They lost Landry Shamet, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm lying, maybe I'm not. Don't remember. Landry Shamet is somewhere in there. Yeah, I mean, again, yes, Mitchell Robinson, Ukporti. You lost your big men. They did bring in Andre Drummond, which should still offset that. He has more of a three-point shot now, apparently. So shout out to Andre Drummond there. Yeah, and I mean, it might still be an issue. I mean, it's year 2. I'm trying to think about who the heck else was on the Knicks. I don't have the graphic in front of me. Yes, I could look it up. Do I want to? No. But the Knicks are fine. The Knicks just won the championship. I'm not concerned about the Knicks, but how quickly we forget that the Knicks just won the championship. I didn't forget. Trust me. Those are still your 1A and 1B in the Eastern Conference. And then, yes, we have a bunch of teams coming up. And funny enough, when I talked about this, I forgot about this team. And I'm going to talk about them first. The Cleveland Cavaliers, who were probably one of the biggest losers in this LeBron decision to sign with Philly. Because Cleveland, Golden State were kind of my two teams I thought about the most, right? That he was going to go to. I forgot Philly was an option completely. But again, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden has to resign. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley are still your big four. You got Max Strus and Sam Merrill. Sam Merrill was very impressive last season, so I'm assuming Merrill will still be really good this year. Hopefully Schroeder can get back to playing at a level that puts him in the rotation. I don't know what his first name is. Tomlin and Jalen Tyson were also good enough role players for Cleveland last year, so I completely forgot about Cleveland when I was thinking about Eastern Conference teams that would have any sort of impact. My thought process though is Cleveland. What? Yeah, Cleveland has to do something to get at the top of the East because the East is going to be competitive, kind of in as it tends to be 3-6 or 3-8. Let's talk about the other teams though, real quick. Other teams in that upper echelon, I want to kind of talk about real quick. Detroit. I don't think we're talking enough about Detroit. Yes, they lost Tobias Harris, which is a huge loss to that team. If you saw their postseason run last year, Tobias Harris was a big reason that they were in the playoffs as long as they were. Asar Thompson has to take an offensive jump of some sort. He has to develop that 3-point shot or any sort of shot, really. He's got to develop it. But again, Cade's back. Do they bring back Jalen Duren? They've been at an impasse in contract. Their relationship isn't apparently the best. You kind of have to bring him back. And if you don't, what are you bringing in? Do you make a sign and trade? The Kings are in the discussion. Do you make a sign and trade for a guy like Domantas Sabonis? And I hope they don't, because I also said that Sabonis can't be a number 2 option on a championship team. I don't even think he's top 3. Honestly, I don't think the defense is as good as a guy like Jalen Duren. And while the offense might be better than Jalen Duren, I don't think that I don't think it works. So I still think Detroit is the top 3 seed. You bring in Isaiah Joe, during the offseason. You drafted that rookie that I don't remember his name. But like, I think Detroit lost some pieces that are probably going to hurt them. And unless you see development from guys like, again, Ausar Thompson, and unless the relationship with Jalen Duren works out and he's happy after it, and he developed during this offseason, he develops a mid-range shot, it's not going to look too pretty. You also lost Isaiah Stewart. That was, if nothing else, a spark plug for that team. Detroit's going to look interesting this year, but I still think they're a top team in the Eastern Conference. Another team, obviously the Miami Heat, is a team that acquired Giannis during this offseason, but I am not kind of like other people, I'm assuming, where, yes, they have Giannis and they have Bam, but they have Giannis and they have Bam. They traded away Tyler Hero. They traded away Khalil Ware. They traded away Jaime Jaquez. They traded away Kasparis Yakuchunas, as well as a lot of draft picks. You lost Norman Powell to Chicago. Did they re-sign Andrew Wiggins, or do I just have him on the team? I'm not sure. Miami has to fill this team out. They've also been rumored to bring in Bradley Beal. Some people have said they could bring in Russell Westbrook. Miami's got to do something. They got to fill out the bench. They got to do something else to that starting lineup or something. Giannis and Bam is not going to be enough to get it done. Defensively, they're an amazing front court, but that is not enough to get it done. I don't think that's enough to make them a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. I said at the highest, they're a 5th seed. Other teams, we could kind of talk about Toronto. Toronto, I have at 3 if the Kawhi Leonard trade goes through. But even if it goes through, I could easily see him getting suspended. It's a weird thing. It's either the trade gets vetoed and it doesn't happen, or it goes through and he gets suspended. And if I'm Toronto, do I even want to do this trade at this point? At this point, because the trade gets, vetoed and put on ice and they're looking into it, I'd rather pivot and or ask for more pieces from the Clippers. For all the trouble that I'm going through with this guy, give me something else, or else I'm good off this trade. Yeah, it might damage the relationship a little bit between Kawhi and Toronto, but it's not Toronto's fault that Kawhi did or didn't do the things he was doing. I don't know. But if I'm Toronto, I'm pivoting. Yeah, I don't want Brandon Ingram, and Grady Dick certainly hasn't developed the way I wanted him to. But there's going to be other suitors out there, and I'm sure there are other suitors out there that might look at now LeBron going to Philly and say, I need to get something on this team. Let me call Toronto and see if we can kind of pivot. Orlando, a new head coach, another year, hopefully, of chemistry and development. Paulo was training with Kevin Durant this offseason. He needs to get in the gym with a big man. Somebody like LeBron, somebody physical. You're not Kevin Durant. You are maybe 30? I was going to say 80 pounds is crazy. You are like 30 pounds heavier than Kevin Durant. Something like that, bro. You are a big man. You're like 6'10", bro. So is Kevin Durant, pretty much. But like, you are big. You're a big boy. Stop trying to shoot. Bang it in the post. Piss me off, man. My God, I want so much for this Orlando team. I like them. I like the pieces that they've developed. The Desmond Bane trade, I liked it on paper. Franz Wagner's been dope. I want so much for this Orlando team, man, but Paulo's got to lock in, man. He didn't have a great season for a lot of the season. He was also hurt. They got to lock in. I rolled my R subconsciously or inadvertently. Atlanta. The Atlanta Hawks, man. I love this Atlanta team. I love the depth of this Atlanta team, and I loved it just when they had Jonathan Kuminga as well on this team. They had such diversity where like a lot of guys could play multiple positions on this team, and it made me really happy to look at this team. And yeah, you're probably not bringing Kuminga back. He wants $20 million. I don't give Jonathan Kuminga $20 million either. but I like this Atlanta team. I like the guys that they got there. You trade for Aaron, got it right the first time. You trade for Aaron Wiggins. Trying to think what else. Obviously, draft picks. Kingston Fleming's brought in. I'm looking at a blank screen pretty much right now. I'm only looking at NBA teams, not even looking at what they drafted. I don't have that written down, nor do I have what teams did this offseason, though I do have it on a separate file. Just don't have it in front of me. So, again, the Atlanta, like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jalen Johnson, Okongwu, McCollum, I'm pretty sure is back on the team. Dicey Daniels is still there. Like, there's a lot of pieces on this Atlanta Hawks team that are going to be fun to watch, to say the least, this next season. So I'm super excited for Atlanta. They've traded Risa Shea away. I think was it them? They brought in Nembhard. Or was it OKC? I'm pretty sure Atlanta is the team that has Ryan Nembhard on the team now, if I'm not mistaken. So I also like that addition. If this is Atlanta, I don't think OKC. Yeah. Atlanta. Atlanta is getting Ryan Nembhard and Lou Dort. They actually brought in Lou Dort, which should be a nice, if nothing else, just physical presence on the team to add a little bit more of a toughness to this team, so to speak. Indiana and Boston are two other teams I want to kind of talk about here. And I'm only going to really focus on these teams that are really in the conversation for the playoffs. A lot of people are still talking about Boston, and unless I'm missing something here, and maybe I am, you could let me know, it's Jason Tatum. Derek White is there, and he regressed a little bit last season, and I'm a Derek White fan. He's a former Spur. I enjoyed him on the Spurs. I like Derek White, but he's not a number 2 on the championship team. He's not a number 3 on the championship team. And unless Hugo Gonzalez drops 20 points per game and Baylor Shireman gives you 15 and Peyton Pritchard gives you 20 points like you're hoping he's going to give you, unless one of your big men, unless Chris Sinak Jr. or freaking Amari Williams, my boy Luka Garza, because I like Luka Garza. I was a fan of him coming out of college. Unless one of these bigs, Nemeas Keita, unless one of these bigs is going to give you some great production and the Celtics surprise us. Shout out to my boy Jordan Walsh as well. I mess with him, my alopecia brother. Shout out to him. I'm not thinking the same thing everybody else is with the Celtics, man. I don't see their playing team at best, man. They got to make a move that really, you got Paul George, and I actually forgot about Paul George, but you got Paul George, but like, unless Pandemic P, Playoff P, Ped P, whatever you want to call him, unless he maybe brings back the clock and gives you 20 points per game himself, you don't even got to give me 20, bro. You got to give me 18. I ain't going to say 15 to 16. You got to give me 18 points on good shooting splits with good defense, bro. Take back the clock a little bit. Show me you put in the work in the offseason and you're coming back, and that last season was just a one-off kind of thing. Like, they need Paul George on his game, bro. If not, I don't know what his contract is, but you got to buy him out. You got to do something. Celtics don't even got that kind of money, mind you. Tatum is the Celtics team right now. They got to do something else. The Jaylen Brown trade was stupid. I very much did not agree with it when it happened. I didn't agree with it when it was being speculated upon. Indiana, I got to see what happens. I'm a big fan of that Indiana team from a couple years ago, but that was a couple years ago. That was 2 years. Was that 2 years ago now? That was like 2 years ago now. Excited to see Halliburton play again, but Indiana is fully dependent. Their my prediction depends on Tyrese Halliburton. How does he come back? Yeah, we are talking about he's pretty much ready. He's ramped up. He's ready to go. He's playing 5-on-5, this and that. I got to see it in actual competition. They got Zubac. Remember, they made the Zubac for Ben Mathurin trade. All right, cool. What else you got? Because you got Andrew Nembhard. I rock with him. Obi Toppin is still there. I rock with him a little bit. Indiana needs something else out there. Maybe there's something else out there in free agency. They did sign Kelly Oubre Jr. in free agency. I know that. I remember that one. Indiana got to do something else. Though I think if they can find that spark, because we don't know. Halliburton didn't play. If they can find what they had 2 years ago and just run with it, no pun intended, they could be a top 6 seed. Charlotte Hornets. And I think that's probably the last team we're really talking about here. But the Charlotte Hornets, they traded LaMelo Ball. I forgot that they brought Kobe, that they're keeping Kobe White. Shout out to Kobe White. I'm glad he's staying on the team. But LaMelo was kind of your offense, right? For years, LaMelo was the guy. Thankfully, they got rid of Miles Bridges as well, and I love that for them. But you're almost banking on Con Knueppel being your guy. You know, you're kind of banking on that. You saw how the team played with Kobe White being as amazing as he was in that postseason on that play-in run. Con Knueppel was great in his rookie year. You know, Brandon Miller is still there. Moose Diabate is still there. You got some Kalkbrenner. You got some names over there in Charlotte. Some young, moldable names out there in Charlotte. Let's see what happens. I don't know. That LaMelo Ball absence is probably going to be felt. But I do think Charlotte has the potential to compete once again for a play-in spot. I do think that is plausible. And I guess, just real quick, I'll do Milwaukee. I'll talk about Milwaukee. Milwaukee's not making the playoffs. I don't think anybody talking about or thinking about Milwaukee really would put them in the conversation to make the playoffs. They've got, again, they brought in the 4 guys from the Giannis trade, which I think actually raises their ceiling a little bit. Maybe it's the floor, but I don't know. It raises them up a little bit, those 4 guys that brought in from Miami. Also drafting, Nate Ament. You drafted Braden Burries, who looked really good in the Summer League, apparently, from the clips I saw of him, the highlights I saw about him. They got some guys over there. You got to get rid of Kuzma. You got to find a way to get rid of Miles Turner, I think, personally. But other than that, Milwaukee could be sneaky. But I don't think they make the playoffs. Absolutely not. But I just want to talk about that. To say the Eastern Conference looks more fun, and there is more out there. We talk about the LeBron aspect of things, him signing with Philly. With that being said as well, I don't think Philly wins a championship. People, betting odds, Vegas odds, this and that, people putting Philly as a championship winner, championship contender. Are they a contender? Yeah. Chemistry wins championships, though. You saw it with the Knicks. That chemistry of the Villanova boys that was built in Villanova years before they even made it to the NBA. They brought it over there to New York. I'm about to sneeze in a second. Give me. Hold on. Chemistry was built before they got to the NBA in college. The OKC Thunder. That was years. Guys, some of these guys were in the G League together, making their way to the NBA. Some of these guys were on that NBA team when they were winning 20 games, when they were winning 30 games before they made it to a championship winner. The Boston Celtics a couple years ago, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford on that team. This chemistry that was built over years of grinding to get to that point. Tatum and Brown specifically, years of grinding together to get to that point. The Denver Nuggets, when they won the championship, that Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Bruce Brown. This is a team, again, battle-hardened, a team with chemistry. Chemistry wins championships. When's the last time a team, and I can't tell you because I didn't look at it. It's the last time a team won a championship off of just being a super team. Golden State? Golden State KD years? KD over there with Curry and them? Is that the last time? I don't know. I didn't look. I genuinely didn't look. But to me, that's the last time we really saw a team just be overpowered and win a championship. I don't think, and again, part of it is the NBA's second apron and contracts and this and that. Sometimes that's the reason this doesn't happen. But I don't think Philly is the front runner. The Knicks won the championship. They just won the championship a month ago. They won the championship a month ago. How quickly we forget. How quickly the media spins stuff. They're not the favorites. The Knicks are the favorites. They're the defending champions. Right? Spurs are still there. OKC, though they traded a bunch of pieces, they're still a credible threat. To me, that's the upper echelon right there. Some people put Philly, New York, and San Antonio, what I just saw. They put those 3 up there. Sure, whatever. OKC is still there. We see what goes on with Houston with Kevin Durant. If anything happens there, Houston, I still put up in that conversation. The Detroit probably isn't, but put them somewhere. If Toronto can get Kawhi, they're in that conversation. Minnesota, Denver, I'm absolutely putting Denver. If they can bring back Peyton Watson, that's another restricted free agent we talked about. They bring back Peyton Watson. Denver could very easily be another team at the top of that conversation. But I digress. LeBron makes his signing. Philadelphia, 2 years, $8 million. And we're going to have a proper deep conversation about the NBA free agency. We did a little bit here. You got a little bit of that right now. So there's your little bit of a preview. So I'm done. Don't worry. This is it's probably our longest episode we've ever done in one take. So thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Unapologetic Podcast. It's been episode 112. If you want to keep up with me, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Nas Kaleem. That is NAASKALEEM. Instagram and Twitter. You can hit me up over there for anything about venting about your mental health, topics of discussion, opinions on the podcast, everything and anything. And hit the link tree. Go to the Instagram, hit the link tree in the bio. All the different ways you can support this podcast. And we got a lot of. The summer is young, bro. Summer is young. The day is young. The year is young. We got so much to talk about. So much coming up. And I'm super excited to get into all of that. But until that faithful day where we meet again, don't forget that most golden rule: to spread peace, love, and positivity always.